Hi everyone, I just wanted to show you the Malachi 4 quiet book page. It's a threading page, so these go through here, and it's about the Son of Righteousness that will arise with healing in his wings. It's the last chapter of the last book of the Old Testament. It's looking forward to the coming of Jesus. So I made a free template download. I chose to cut the centres out of my semicircles so that it wouldn't be bulky along here, but if you wanted to make it easier to keep the shape, you can just draw a straight line across there and make them full semicircles. It might make it easier when you're lining up the layers if they're full semicircles, because they won't stretch out of shape so much. And just try to line them up properly so that you don't get bits poking out the edges when you sew it down. So I've just used paper and pins to cut my pieces out. You might be able to use the bits that you cut out from inside the circles if you wanted to swap the order of the colours around and make a second page. And because there's so many ribbons that you're cutting up, it's probably better to use a candle rather than matches, because you'll use a whole box of matches to melt the ends so that they don't fray. And also when you chop the shoelaces, melt the ends of that as well so it doesn't fray when you sew it all together. So there is an optional small one. If you're doing the Bible quiet book page, you need only 4 layers. So if you want to make a smaller page, use the smaller 4 semicircles. If you don't want to do a Bible one, you can use all 5 layers. I've done 5 here and I've chopped it in half to fit it on the smaller page. So that's another option. When you're lining up the lace, if you have things like this, make sure the direction, which this one is not the right direction, but if you went the other way, it's easier to thread that way than it is to thread this way. So just be careful about that. This one's a fabric background, so fabric and felt both work well. And this one I made for my niece, and I've swapped the dark colour because I'm using a light background. It's too dark, so I've used pink instead of red and moved red to the bottom. And this one I've swapped the red out for pink just because I like it. And this one's been threaded all the way. So we're using 4 for the Bible page, but if you're just doing a non-Bible page, I'd recommend 1 long one. So in Numbers 15, God told the Israelites to make fringes on their garments and to put tassels on the 4 corners. They had to put fringes and tassels. So this is the fringes, and these are meant to represent the tassels. The tassels had to have a blue thread running through them to remind them to keep the commandments. And I thought that was a bit weird. How would this remind you to keep the commandments? But there is a reason, and I found out when I was researching another Bible quiet book page. I was researching the shape of the commandments, and this shape, the rounded tablet shape, came in the Middle Ages with Christian artists. But if you read some references in the Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud, which is the Jewish commentary on the scripture, it says that the shape was square and it was half as thick as it was wide and high. So when you had 2 of them and put them together, it forms a cube shape. Now, they were made from sapphire stone, which is wide blue thread is meant to remind you of the blue stone for the commandments. And So in Exodus, it does talk about there was a sapphire pavement under the feet of God on Mount Sinai, and also in Ezekiel has a vision of heaven and God's throne is made from sapphire. So it kind of makes sense to me that God put his commandments on a precious stone rather than just something he found at the foot of Mount Sinai. So in Revelation 17, the harlot woman is wearing all the colours of the high priest in the Old Testament except for blue, and that's, I guess she's a harlot because she's forgotten the commandments. So if you guys can remember all the commandments, maybe I'll put a comment with all the commandments at the bottom and you can test yourselves, test your memory. This is a picture of a prayer shawl, and it shows the fringes and the tassels. So the tassels had to have the blue thread running through it. And then they wore it like this when they were praying. They put it back down on their shoulders when they weren't praying anymore. And Jesus would have worn one of these. And so this prophecy saying that the Son of Righteousness will arise with healing in his wings. The word wings in Hebrew is the same word as the word for tassels. So the lady in Matthew, Mark and Luke who had an issue of blood and needed healing knew this prophecy, and she believed that Jesus was the fulfillment of the prophecy. So she decided that she would try to get through the crowd and just touch one of these tassels, and that she would be healed because there was healing in the wings. So she did that and she was healed, and Jesus said, "Oh, who touched me?" And the disciples thought that was a bit weird because there was a crowd, everyone was touching him, but he said, "No, someone touched me, I felt power go out." And the lady fessed up and admitted that she had touched the hem of his garment, the tassels, because she knew that there was healing in his wings. So I hope you like the meaning of the page, and I'd love to see some pages that you make. Head to Faith and Felt Obsession so you can download the template when I put it up soon. And thanks for watching.